All right, so let's head over to California. And this is, you want to talk about stuff that could really shake up business models and whatnot. California, if you guys are unaware, no sports betting over there, but can do whatever you want to from a DFS angle. And they were one of the few states out there that when there was all this stuff going through, decided not to get any sort of formal thing on the books about DFS. And Adam, it got looked at years and years ago. Nothing really came of it. And then now here we are, and this is now front and center in California.
So here's what we have going on. And you mentioned the 2015 effort when now Vice President Kamala Harris was the Attorney General. No opinion ever came out of that. But we have the same situation with a state level legislator asking the California Attorney General's office to look into and issue an opinion about daily fantasy sports. And, sorry to have to, bring up trigger memories for a lot of people here, but whether it's a game of skill or a game of chance, we're back to the old questions that have been going on forever and ever when it comes to daily fantasy sports. Our Sam McQuillan followed up on a report by Gambling Compliance. I want to give Matt Carey over there credit for being first on this story. $200 million in annual entry fees in California, just on DFS. Think about what is being wagered on sports betting illegally, what is being wagered with bookies, offshore, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. No timeline for this investigation, but in the past, it's been reported that it's 9 to 12 months for the Attorney General's office to take a look, and this comes at the request of State Senator Scott Wilk. And in the letter that he sent to the Attorney General, this is a quote: "Although the participant may utilize their knowledge of a particular sport in choosing their, quote, team, end quote, of players, how well those players perform during a game is completely out of the participant's control. As such, daily fantasy sports appears to be a game of chance not otherwise permitted by the laws of California." Now, to be clear in this discussion, we are talking about everyone, much the same as in Florida. We were talking ultimately about everyone, whether it's DraftKings and FanDuel, whether it's Prize Picks, Underdog, and the ilk of the pick'em games that have been pretty widely scrutinized over the course of 2023 and said to be against state law by a number of states in the U.S. This could ensnare everyone ultimately. However, when it comes down to it, we know that DraftKings and FanDuel have a robust sports betting and iGaming business throughout the country, throughout Canada for some as well, and Prize Picks and Underdog are pretty reliant on some of these larger states like Florida, like California, for their base of operations right now. It would not be at all a stretch to say that an adverse ruling in California would deal a pretty significant business blow to the future of the companies that are trying to offer these pick'em games as daily fantasy sports as opposed to sports betting.
Yeah, it could be, I mean, I'm not going to say catastrophic, but it's pretty close to as catastrophic as humanly possible, because not only, me personally, I've been out of the DFS game for a while, as far as playing seriously, obviously, but I know a lot of very big players that live in California. I mean, like, we're talking about these super high volume guys, the guys that are pumping in just, thousands and thousands and thousands of entries every single week into the industry. And as you mentioned, Adam, I mean, if they're doing that from a DFS standpoint, it's not as visible, I think, from the Prize Picks and Underdogs, whether they're doing that on those sites, but one would assume, one would guess. I mean, it's certainly a very easy transition over to all of that. So I can only imagine those whales would be extremely missed when it came to anything going on in California.
Yeah, and really, this does go back to the fact that if the price for DraftKings and FanDuel of being able to push very strongly Underdog and Prize Picks, and they're like out of a market, is for DraftKings and FanDuel to have to turn off their DFS, that has become a drop in the bucket to what their overall business is. If that's the cost of doing business, I think they would probably play along quite willingly.
You and me both. I think if it was the choice of like, oh, let's just flip the switch off, it would be like, yeah, let's flip the switch off. No problem. Like, we'll just do that.